Peace and blessings. Welcome to part 14 of our series with our handsome Kato. We are working on details on our Kato. He is a very handsome young man. We are going to work a little bit on his lips to bring a little bit more dimension to those beautiful lips. Okay, let's get our paint, our colors together that we are going to go into Kato's lips. Okay, to work on our baby Kato's lips, we're going to take this multi-colored brown mixture that I created. It's kind of a deep color, and I think it will complement, it's not too deep, it's like a medium deep color. I think it will complement Kato's lips. Let's see. Okay, so I'm using my detail brush, which is kind of pointy, and I'm going with just a very little bit on the brush. You maybe can see some faint lines on the bottom of on the lower lip of Kato. You maybe my camera, okay, you can see it's like three little lines. We're going to highlight, well, we're going to make those lines have a shadow by putting in a darker color. And that's actually going to create some definition there. Okay, so let me get Kato in a good position for me. And we are going to go right on ahead and just make these little lines, because these will create that bit of definition. I think what I'm going to do is give the illusion of another line. So, yeah, I think I'll do that. Okay. Okay. I don't know if you can see those little lines that I placed. Now I'm going to pounce it out slightly, but more or less patting it in place. I don't want them to blur, I want them to remain in place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a bit around the fulcrum with this color to continue to add some depth, and I'm going to go around the lower portion of the fulcrum. You see that? Where it kind of looks wet, that's where we went. And this creates, say it with me, dimension and some shadow. You think about Kato's nose is creating a little bit of shadow over the fulcrum. You see? Trying to see if we can get some light where you can maybe see it. Okay, now I'm going to tap it Not so much as pounce, but tapping it in place. And what I also did was I painted the fulcrum border and I went slightly inside and the lower portion of the fulcrum. So I went on the sides and then on this lower portion right here, slightly on the inside. So on the actual outside part and then a tiny bit on the inside so that it will create depth. Okay. Now I want to slightly outline Kato's lips. Slightly. What I'm going to do is to create a bit of, to continue with the shape, I'm going to go from the fulcrum slightly over. And I'm going to go to maybe where the nose begins to flare. So that in a sense, there's a bit of evenness. Now I'm going to, this time I'm going to pounce, but with a small, I think what I want to do is I think I want to use my sponge here. So I'm going to kind of pounce it so that it kind of continues to create that little bit of shadow that will be as though from the nose, you see? The little shadow that it appears like it's because of the nose is over the lips. Okay? Now I'm going to go on the bottom lip and the border kind of toward the middle area. And we're going to do a little bit of the same thing. Now remember, we've been doing quite a bit, little by little, to the lips, creating additional definition. Now we're just kind of going around the lip on the bottom, of the lower lip. You can maybe see where it looks a little bit wet because I haven't pounced it out yet. Okay, so I'm going to take my Swiss Spurs Cosmetic Wedge and kind of pounce that out. So that makes the color go a little bit onto the lip itself. Now I want to go on the upper lip, the top lip, and I want to go over these lines that are around the milk blister to create some definition. I'm not creating a milk blister, I'm just outlining some shape of the lips to give appearance of fullness. So, and we can get some of the appearance of fullness with shadows and light. So we are going to go around the milk blister on the sides and on the lower part that meets with the lower, with the shadow of the the lip, lower lip. Okay. Now we're going to slightly pounce that. Not harsh, because we want it to kind of remain in place, but it will feather out just a little bit, and that's fine. That's what we would like. So we have just been using pretty neutral colors on our young man, which are such a compliment to his complexion. So I really like that with him. Now, what we're going to do as well is we are going to think about some color to add a little tinge of color and to bring it in from the sides. So we may take a little bit of debating between red, just to give a look of a little bit of blood flow, and also the eyelid purple, because the eyelid purple just makes everything so much better. If you look at his eyelids, how they kind of pop, and you can see like a shape because we have that eyelid purple there. We put that eyelid purple there, so that gives a lot of dimension. So I think we will use some of the, I think we'll use a little bit of the red, maybe in the middle of the lip. It's not going to look like red lipstick. Okay, it's just going to look like maybe just like a little, like blood flow, just like a little bit of blood flow that's in the lips. And then we'll go on the sides of the lips with the eyelid purple to create additional dimension. And when the red has dried, we can maybe go across the red with the eyelid purple. And that will really make that red pop, and you will still see a tinge of the eyelid purple, but it won't look purple. It will just give a beautiful look of translucency, which is so nice on the lips. So we can see our baby Kato coming to life, coming to life. He is such a handsome kid. I keep saying that, but he really, really is a handsome kid. So we're going to let him dry, and I will be back. Okay, we are going to continue working on Kato's lips. We are taking our primary red, and we are just going to go across his lips to give that appearance of blood flow. I have my air purifier up on high. I hope it is not too loud, and I can hear the gardener, the landscaper outside. So that's some more noise, but I can't do anything about that. So hopefully you're able to hear me. Okay, so we're gonna take the red. This is what we're starting with. Okay, now we're just gonna go over his entire lips. Okay, including the milk blister. I'm going to show you where all I'm painting with the red. Where I paint it with the red, you see that it has a little bit of a shine or wet look. It's not coming across that well on the camera, but I just kind of went over the top lip. Um, Now we're going to go over the bottom. See if I can show you a little bit more. Okay. So that is the bottom lip um, painted a little bit with the primary red. Now we are going to just pounce that in place, the upper and the lower, just pouncing that in place. Okay, it just has a slight, ever so slight bit of color. So we're adding a little bit of color, which this, of course, also is translucent, which is something that, of course, we want. This is very nice, very nice. I like the way this looks. Now, while we have the red out, we can go across the other areas that we discussed, putting some more red on. Palm of his hands. Okay, we talked about going across the fat pads of his fingers. So that we're going to do. It's just going to be a slight bit of color. Not anything too out of the way. Just a tinge of color on the fat pad. Okay, so we put some of the red. You can see it shining a little bit. The part that we put on is this part of the finger and on the side of it, the fat pad and on the side. So now we're just going to pounce that into place a little bit. Okay. And this middle finger that is partially tucked in, we have, see if I can show you how we have outlined that finger and did the creasing on that finger. Let's see. I wish I could actually zoom in, but I can't. I'm doing the best that I can to try to show you though. Okay. The other part that I would like to put a little bit more red is this part of the hand, just like where the fingers would be, a little bit there. Just a little. Okay. We're going to pounce that out. We want it to blend in with the rest of the hand. Okay, I think we will go a little bit on the palm, a little bit more. Remember, we're going to go a little bit more with that blue, the primary blue, which will give a look of, you know, the translucency of thin skin. Okay, so we have a little bit more of a color of blood flow, the red, where it looks like it's a little bit of little bit more blood flow. Now I do have a deeper red that I could go in with. However, I like going, you know, in stages, little by little, little by little. So we're going to do the same thing on this hand. The pads of the fingers and on the side. Again, I like working with small brushes because it allows me to get into tight spaces and to retain a certain bit of what I think is control over where the brush is going, so that ultimately is where the paint is going. I am by no means a teacher of reborning. I'm just showing you what I'm doing on my journey as a new reborn artist. I am only 2.5 months old reborning. So I have my first doll I reborn the ending of August, and she is a close-eyed baby. This kit Sonnet by Michelle Fagan. Beautiful 20-inch kit. I rooted her hair, her eyelashes, her eyebrows with human jerry curl hair. I think it came out quite nice. When people see her, they don't think that she's a doll. They think that she's actually a baby, which is, you know, so evidently there's some realism that's there. I call her imperfectly beautiful because that's exactly what she is. There are some, you know, minor things that could be a little bit different with her. However, she was my first doll. I did not take any paid tutorials or have any guidance. The only thing I had was looking at some of the free tutorials on YouTube, and I went on from there. I enjoy using the air dry paints. So, and then my second doll, I reborn her. Now she is the Lillian kit, a very beautiful kit, which is 22 inches. So she is the size of a, maybe like a 1 month to 3 month baby. And she is an open eye baby. So her, I also rooted her hair, her eyebrows, her eyelashes with human jerry curl hair, the same hair that I used for Sonnet because I still had some hair left. So I used that on her, and I gave her green eyes. So the second kit that I did was an open eye baby, and came out quite nice. People see her and they think that she too is real. Now she came out even better because, I learned a little bit more with her. So she came out quite nice, I think. I think she came out quite nice. So I went over the foot again so you can see some of that redness. I went over this portion of the foot. Now I'm going to go over the fat pads on the toe. I got to make sure that it doesn't pull and look, um, I want to make sure that it looks flattering. So we have to make sure that it's not pulling. Okay. And we want to make sure that we are following the structure of the foot. So the way the toes are shaped. And our Mr. Kato, which is the Cake Kit by Marissa May. He is the Cake Kit, which is a 20-inch kit, which is the size of a newborn. This kit is so beautiful. To me, it looks like a boy, or it could go well for a boy. So I'm reborning as the kit as a boy, Kato. And he is going to be, as you can see, a nice chocolate complexion baby. Each baby that I have made has gotten a little bit darker as I understand paints and how to shadow and what have you as I'm learning more and more. Um, so I'm really enjoying it really very much. Okay, so we are going to continue going around the foot. Okay, the instep portion of the foot. Okay, so we're putting a little bit, of course this is red, so it's giving that bit of look of blood flow. And I know we're doing the foot where we have that semicircle that we're going to um, fill in that semicircle with blue to give the impression of a instep and thin skin over the instep. I don't know if they still do this, but when babies were born, they would take a footprint, I think they do it still, of the baby. And if you looked at that footprint, you would see clearly an arch. So, creating what appears to be an arch on our reborn babies doesn't seem to be far-fetched, even though they may have, fat feet, as babies often do. However, when you press the baby's foot down and they do a footprint, you get what appears to be the arch of the foot. So, since we strive for realism. I'm striving for realism, so I'm creating what would appear to be the arch of the foot. So we have what appears to be blood flow. Let's see if I can get it right on the light. Okay, maybe you can see a little bit of that. And then we're going to go in with the blue so that we can continue with the foot, giving the definition to the foot. And we have our blue right here. And the blue is the primary blue. And we will just use a little bit of that. A little bit of that. Okay. Up. Make sure. Off camera there, I have a glass jar that has distilled water that I dip my brushes in so that I can, that the color is not being transferred. So that's what that's what I'm doing. It's this. And it has a top, and I use that while I'm painting. Okay, so we're going to go in with the foot. Okay, this looks very nice. I mean, you can see that look of blood flow. You can see that look. So we're gonna make sure. Okay. Gonna make sure the glue is nicely stirred because we know it settles, the paint settle. So I'm going around with this little semicircle. I'm still working on perfecting the color on the sides of the foot. So all three of the babies the two babies that I made or that I reborn, that's very nice. You see that? It's like the instep is there. You see the color? The first one is a closed-eyed baby. The second one is an open-eyed baby. And the third is a closed-eyed baby with deep chocolate skin. All are reborn by yours truly and rooted by yours truly, hair, eyelashes, as well as the eyebrows. Now, Kato has such a beautifully shaped head, I almost want him to be bald. However, I'm not going to have him be bald, but he just has such a beautifully shaped head. And, he's a boy, so he would definitely look nice with a bald head because of the shape of his head. However, I think I will have him, I will root his hair, but I would like to use mohair. I would like to use some mohair. I think that would be flattering on him. Something kind of not straight, but I don't know, maybe slightly wavy. Okay, you see the color of the foot. Looks like it's some blood flow, like the baby has an instep. So I think that's what I would like to do for Kato. Now we don't see any real change, not too much of a change in the color on the lips. I can see a little bit of red. just a little bit of what gives that illusion of blood flow. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take out the eyelid purple, and we will go across his lips in strategic areas with the eyelid purple. Okay, here is the eyelid purple, and we're going to stir this up. Okay. Again, the lips are not going to look purple. It's just going to enhance that red of what appears to be blood flow. And, you know, give that bit of translucency to the lips. This is the hair that I do have. This again is human hair. It's not jerry curl, it's human hair. However, you know, it maybe would work nicely for him, but I think I want something that has a little bit more, slightly of a, maybe a little bit of a wave, so that it can, you know, maybe it would look nice on a boy, the mohair. Um, give me your opinion. What would you think? Um, what type of hair? This is um, this is human Remy hair. So because when I was purchasing hair, I wanted to be able to experiment. So I got the Jerry Curl human hair in the honey blonde color, and I got this Remy hair in this, this is like a dark brown. So I think it would look nice. The color would be nice on him with his skin tone, I think. But I don't know if this hair is, you know, quality enough for him. So give me your opinion. What you think? What would you what do you think? So we are going, making sure that we have our eyelid purple mixed. And okay, I'm going to make sure we're going to go over his entire lips with this eyelid purple. And you're going to see how it makes the lips look so full because of that translucent appearance. You see? So you see it doesn't look like it's purple. It just gives that translucent appearance, right? So, right, it gives that translucent appearance. So what I want to do is I want to pounce that a bit. So I'm taking, I don't have another sponge out. It doesn't have any color. Okay. So I'm just going to take the edge of one of the sponges that doesn't have color already on it, and I'm pouncing out that color. Pounce out that color. Okay. So you can see some dimension on the lips, but they don't look purple and they don't look, you know, bright red, but they do have dimension. And you can see that above, excuse me, above the milk blister, the top lip, the top lip, we have that lovely shading with the milk blister, like right here, right? And it's really defining the lip. And you can see that other shading that we have here defining the lip. So we did go around part of the borders of the lip, but it doesn't look like he has outlined lips and lipstick on. So we are, I think we're pretty pleased with, I'm pretty pleased with the way his lips are coming out. Once this dries, I'm then going to go on the corners of his lips with a little bit of color, additional coloring, to bring more depth into the lips. I'm thinking about going in on the perimeter of the lips with this burnt umber, which is a brown with a slight red tone to it. Um, I'm debating, not sure how that's going to look, but I think I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to use this small detailer brush and see what it looks like. I'm just going to put a little tiny bit. Otherwise, if this isn't a good color, I'm going to go more with a brown. Let's see. Okay, it's on this side. I think I'm going to go with it. It's just only a little bit that I'm using. You know, I'm outlining part of the lower lip, the corner of the lower lip, kind of making a little bit of a triangle. Then going to tap that out. Okay, and we're going to go a little bit on the top lip, a little bit in, you can get in here, we can see a little bit in the corner. I'm going within the margin of the lip. Okay. And we're going to pounce that out. Everything we do is to kind of try to create, say it with me, dimension in realism. So, but I like the way it's looking. I don't want my baby to have red lips. I want to maintain that translucent look. And I think we are achieving that. We're just going to continue building it up. Now this, of course, has to dry. I think we may go in with another layer on those corners the way we did once this is dry. Okay, while we're waiting for the lips to dry, we can crease the feet. We have that nice blush of color on the feet with the blue on the instep portion. I think this foot looks quite nice, quite nice. So we have done some creasing, very pale type of creasing or understated creasing. I like understated creasing um, on the feet especially on the feet. So because on the bottom of the foot, by the instep by the sole of the foot having a light color, I think, it's flattering to kind of have a light color to crease. Now, I'm looking at the toes to see if I need to go anywhere with the creasing. Now, where we have the light color that needs to have some creasing, I'm going to crease with this color because I think it's flattering. So there's some areas between the toes that are light, and I think it'll be flattering to have that light color. So, and the areas that I'm talking about are the areas that are close to the nail bed. So we went in with that slightly lighter color. Now we're going to go on the underside and we're going to crease some under. We're going to go between the toes. Between the toes, that needs creasing because that gives the illusion that the toes are separated, that they're not just one piece of vinyl. So again, I'm not in camera. Ay, ay, ay. I apologize. So I am going around the creasing on the underside of the foot, under the toes, so that there appears to be a distinction between where the toes bend and crease. Okay. Yeah, I really do think that this is a flattering color because it's a little bit darker than the sole of the foot. Initially, we creased this kit with Prismacolors, and it was like kind of like a reddish brown, which was nice. Um, and it did stay. So we're kind of going over it with this shade of brown, or this is kind of like I don't know, kind of sort of like a taupey brown, kind of like a taupey kind of brown. Um, it's a color that I mixed up, which I think I wrote it down, the proportions that I used, so that I can that I would be able to recreate it, because actually I do like this color. Um, it's a nice subtle kind of taupey kind of color that looks nice on a crease, and it can look nice, other areas. And not just on babies that, have deep melanated skin, but it can look good on most any complexion. You just have to know what the undertones are and the look that you're trying to achieve. So that would dictate the colors that you are using, because I don't think that there's necessarily an exact quote unquote right or wrong, because it's art, and some of our art is hyper realistic, some is realistic, some is fantasy, some are beautiful dolls that may or may not look realistic, but they look beautiful because there is artistry in bringing them to life. So we see this foot looks nice. Sole of the foot looks nice. Between the toes looks nice. I like the way the ankle looks with that deep coloring. We're going to go ahead and crease the palm of the hands as well. And we still have to go in with the blue on the palm of the hand. So I'm going to brace myself here, because trying to get these fingers, see if I can get in a good position for myself. Are you able to see it? A little bit, you can see it a little bit. I'm sorry you can't see exactly where I'm going, but I am creasing, basically all of the creases on the fingers and the palm. This kit doesn't have a lot of creases. There are some kits that have a lot of creases. This is not one that has a lot. And it appears to be a little foreign body, like a little specks, little black specks. Excuse me. Okay. Going in all of these creases. This is the hand that has the finger that's, curled down, and it's a little challenging to get in there to be able to crease it. But of course it is doable. Like I said before, I like using small brushes, because it helps to be able to get in those places like that. So we're going to pounce the creases. Pounce, pounce, pounce. And I'm going to go on this finger and crease around it. This finger that's curved. The baby is bending the finger. I know I don't think you can, I don't think I'm in camera, because I'm trying to see myself so that I can actually be able to paint in the right area. Okay. Okay, we see nice blood flow. We see nice creasing. Oh, you can see the triangle. Wow, you see that? That's where we are going to put some more blue. Um, I don't know, we might not need any more blue because it's nicely visible right there. Um, yeah, you can see that. That's quite nice. Okay, so I think I've gone around all of the creasing that needs to have a light type color to it. And then we will do the other hand, and we will then, by that time, once we finish with this hand, we should be able to go back in with the lips. And that will probably conclude this portion of the series. Um, so I have to be able to upload it. It shouldn't take that long. The longer the video, it does take a bit longer, but it depends on the time of day that I'm uploading. And since it's about 3:30 in the evening, or the afternoon I should say, it may take a while because there are more people, I guess, using the internet. I think things slow down the more people that are on it. It's like a highway, I think. I could be wrong, I don't know for sure, but I know if I'm uploading on off hours when people, you know, for all intents and purposes, in my time zone maybe would be sleep, I can upload and it doesn't, it uploads rather quickly. When I upload, usually I can upload um, 30 minutes or an hour. It it takes me almost the same amount of time to upload as the length of the video, or maybe a little bit less, but kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay, so I'm just going bouncing out these creases. Now this hand is open, although the fingers are curved, but it's open so it's a little bit easier to paint. Now let's see if the triangle shows well on here, on this hand. If I can get, okay, you can kind of see it, right? You see that triangle there? The triangle is right in there. You see that? So I don't think we need to do any additional blue because it is visible, because we just want that bit of shading, not so much to see blue, we just want some shading. And we have that. So that's great. Okay, so that's this hand. We see nice, what appears to be blood flow, the triangle of the blue. We see the creasing, which is, kind of faint. If we need to, we can go back over the creasing once this dries. I don't know that we would need to go back over the creasing but if we need to, we can. We can definitely go back over. So we're going to go ahead with the lips again. Let me get the color together. Okay, so we have our burnt sienna that we're going to go on the sides of the lips to kind of build that color up a little bit. Let's see. And I'm going around kind of making a little bit of a triangle, that upper and that lower. Okay. And I want to pounce that. I don't want our baby to have too much of a red lip. We just want a little bit of that definition. So it's on this side. And we're going to go on the other side. And we may go ahead with a little, depending, we may go with a little more of a neutral color as well. You just kind of have to see. If you were looking at an inspiration photo, you maybe would have a little idea of the color of some of the colors. I'm just kind of going around, just letting the kit tell me. I'm gonna go on the lower part, the lip, the bottom of the lip, with a little bit of this burnt sienna as well. And let's see. You see our lips with that cute little, kind of a cute little pout. Now, since he's a boy, I don't want him to have too much of red lips, but just to have a little bit of that color of blood flow. I think that looks nice. And what we will do off camera, I will go ahead under the lip, put a little more shadow coloring in there, and that will be it. Now, the insides of his ears are looking good. The canal, well, doesn't look as, it's not as dark. Let's see, can I get it? You know, the canal, it's nicely dark. It looks like, you know, it has some depth there. So I like that. So our Kato is really truly coming along. Pretty soon he will be all done with the painting. Give me your opinion regarding the hair. I think maybe a brownish type, but with a slight wave. Um, Not this, because this is more straight and it's human. Um, However, I think I would like to get some mohair for him that has a little bit of a wave, not curly, but maybe a little bit of a wave, because I think that would look nice on him as opposed to hair that is very straight. I think, and I'm thinking, but tell me what you think in the comments. Do like, comment, subscribe, and share. Oh, I am loving the shadows, the highlights, the coloring. Oh, I think he's looking really nice. He's looking really good. Um, I hope that you are enjoying this series. Tell somebody, invite a friend, share what we're doing over here. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Enjoy your day. Peace and blessings. I just want to show you the shape of this baby's head. Look how lovely a head shape he has. He would look good as a bald baby, but I'm going to root him. But I think he doesn't need a lot of hair. I would like to have the shape of his head really nicely visible. Okay, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Enjoy your day. Peace and blessings.